Of course, you don't want to marry poorly, and that can cause just as many problems in terms of the government needing to come in and take care of a weak population. But we're sort of unnecessarily delaying it. So everybody go out right now, go get married if you're not married, and we should be able to solve all these problems.
In the spotlight tonight, conservatives' message for women voters. A Washington Post headline today summarized it as, "Conservatives to women, lean back." The Heritage Foundation marked the end of Women's History Month Monday with a panel discussion entitled "Evaluating Feminism, Its Failures and Its Future." No one on the panel had any ideas about how Republican presidential candidates can win larger shares of the women's vote, except, of course, urging all women to get married.
You see it in just election after election, though, that women are voting for the more liberal or statist party. We do not have a sex gap here in voting. We have a marriage gap, and it's just easily the biggest story in politics.
Married women are happier, healthier, and more productive than single women. If we truly want women to thrive, we have to revive the marriage norm. We haven't yet achieved, though, a cultural consensus that all unwed childbearing, even among women who are older, in their 20s and 30s and even 40s, is a mistake. That's where we need to focus our energy. And if you care about people in the middle class and the lower classes who are really struggling, then you have to address the marriage issue, because that's the first step on the ladder to a more secure and happy life.
How about more Republican women candidates? Would that help?
It doesn't interest me whether a person who happens to share my chromosomes sits in the Oval Office. Doesn't interest me how many women members of the Senate there are. None of that is that important to me, and I recognize that by saying this out loud, this makes me a bad woman. I know.
Joining me now, Nicole Wallace, former senior advisor to the McCain-Palin campaign and an MSNBC political analyst, and Karen Finney, host of MSNBC's Disrupt with Karen Finney. Karen, do you have any reaction to anything you just heard there? I can't even form a question for you. I just want you to go.
I mean, there's so many things we can say. Number one, what a just absolutely ridiculous portrayal of what it is to be a feminist and what it is to be a woman in, 2014 in America. I mean, that was just shameful. Let's just start there, obviously. And, as I was listening to that, I was thinking, if the Republican Party and conservatives are going to be so pro-marriage, how about pro-marriage equality for everyone? Because it's not just that they're about marriage, it's about women marrying men, right? It's a very specific kind of marriage, not the least of which, how about supporting, policies like equal pay or paid medical leave for, family leave policies that would actually help keep families strong and help women be good moms and be partners in their families.
Nicole, you've actually worked on Republican campaigns trying to appeal to all voters, including women. Someone else who's done that, Katie Packer-Gage, was a deputy campaign manager of the Romney campaign. She gave us this statement where she said the words that she heard there, the words seem to convey an antiquated view that does not represent the realities that many women in America face today. As a conservative Republican woman, I am disappointed when I see other conservative women showing a lack of sensitivity to that fact. And I believe our party's future success depends on communicating a message that acknowledges the daily struggles of many women, which are not going to be resolved simply by getting married. We must also recognize and celebrate the dreams and aspirations of women, whether or not marriage is part of that dream.
I mean, my first question when I saw this today was, are any of these women married? I mean, the notion that it's an end.
Hey, it's bliss.
No,
right?
and listen,
I mean,
you may
can report from the marriage front.
It is bliss.
It's just bliss.
And listen, I am a proud advocate for marriage equality. I signed on to Ken Millman's brief to the court, and I think there are a lot of Republicans who are advocates for same-sex marriage for this very reason. We've made a conservative case for marriage that Karen just very, very eloquently made. So I think the better place to start as a proud Republican woman is to say that in our party we have a long way to go in preaching exactly what we wish from the other side. So we wish for the other side. We make a lot of accusations about a war on women being waged by the Democrats. These women inadvertently, because I believe their motives were pure, they launched some pretty weighted grenades against women who may not feel the way they feel about marriage. And there are plenty of Republican women. None of these women were office holders. None of these women were running for office. None of these women work for Republicans who are being talked about as candidates in 2016. So I think that they did a lot of harm if their goal is to help elect Republicans in the future.
Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, well, part of the problem, Nicole, is that conversation, I'm not even going to try to paint a broad brush on the Republican Party with that conversation, but the problem with that conversation is it is too familiar to the conversation the Democrats, as we talk about the war on women, where we're having conversations, we're seeing policies be passed that essentially treat women like children who are too stupid to make their own decisions, to choose their own medicines. So part of what happens here is it is a broad brush that women are being painted with across a lot of the conservative ideology and policies that make it seem like you want to go back to the 1850s. And I think that's the problem. It's the tone of the conversation, and it is, the lack of putting forward any positive ideas about women and the kinds of things that could really support women and support families. I mean, if people want to be married, fantastic, but then let's look at ways that we can really help keep marriages strong, particularly low-income people. That means let's not cut SNAP. That means, let's not cut the things that help people be better parents if they're low income. And I think that's the problem. The rhetoric doesn't match the policies that we're hearing from conservatives.
Let's listen to one more piece of this panel discussion, which I remind you was about the history of feminism and its failures. Nothing about success in there, okay? And one of its failures, of course, is that feminism invented date rape. Let's listen to this.
Ooh.
Supposing that one of this prototypical woman's daughters succeeds well enough to attend college, is she content to send her daughter off to a campus where hooking up is considered normal and date rape is difficult to prevent? If so, she can thank feminism for that too.
See, Nicole, I always thought that rape was the rapist's fault, not women's fault, and not feminism's fault.
And hooking up happens in Mad Men at Miss Porter's, so that's been going on for a very long time, too. Listen, again, I understand that these women are in the spotlight and understand why that's the case today. But I think if you want to have a serious conversation about women and what women want, the whole premise is ludicrous, right? I mean, women are more than half of the country. So I think that the feeling in the Republican Party when we get into political conversation about women, and it's been going on now for 2 presidential cycles, and the fact that Republicans have come up short is enough evidence in my mind to make clear that we have to do different things. But I spend my days writing fictional accounts of a female president, and I really believe that women, not just Republicans, but all women have to decide that it matters more than not at all that a candidate is a woman before we actually see a woman president, or in my party, a woman nominee for our party. So I think we have so far to go, not just in my party, but as a country on these issues. And it's not just, 3 conservative women who I never heard of before today saying things that seem not just antiquated, but absolutely inaccurate about feminism. Feminism's the reason I'm here. I don't know if Karen feels that way. But
absolutely.
I mean, these are ridiculous thoughts, and I'm going to guess they were meant to provoke the kind of conversation.
Well, yeah, and Karen, I have to give you a last word here on this, because what we just heard Mona Charen say was not something off the cuff. She was reading carefully considered, prepared remarks, and in her carefully considered view of the situation, it is feminism to blame for date rape.
Well, and we have heard previously feminism is the evil for a lot of different things. I mean, date rape, that is all a part of slut shaming. I mean, that is all a part of blaming the woman. We've heard time and again a conservative meme that really blames women for actually working outside the home. The one thing I'll say, though, Lawrence, none of this matters if women don't get out and vote in 2014 and 2016.
Nicole Wallace and Karen Finney, thank you both for joining me tonight.